Wait a minute, this popped up too soon. Check. Stand by. I'm trying to get the right. I clicked one button and that was it. I guess I can't do the intro anymore, right? Can I do it? I guess I cannot. What the hell? Let's do it. 30 seconds. What is happening, my good people? Greetings. How are you? How's it going? How's everybody doing out there? What is the latest and greatest? Hope everybody's doing well, feeling fantastic and excellent spirits here on a March 18th, Wednesday. Another Wednesday live stream coming at you. Always correct, direct, and in full effect. As you can see there at the bottom. Now, the J Reels podcast every Monday and Thursday. I'm going to talk about that in the back end because, as you know, I do have a podcast coming tomorrow, but there is a programming note. I'll touch on that in the back end. So I'll do some housekeeping to the end. I figured I'd give you a little suspense there so you could hang out till the end of the live for those who are just jumping on board. But sorry for the technical difficulties. I hit one button. Next thing you know, you saw my face. I popped up. I had to hit the intro. But welcome. If this is your very first time, welcome aboard. And if you've been here before, whether it's your 3rd, 10th, 20th, or 100th time, welcome back as we chop it up about what's happening in the world of sports. And for those that are new, please share your thoughts. Chat room. It's going to be live. Everybody always contributes here. My usual suspects, my Reels rockers that are always here with me every Wednesday, as well as the podcast pregame, which I do have before the podcast every Monday and Thursday around 9:45 a.m., where, again, you're going to have to stay tuned to find out more about tomorrow's podcast. But this is a jam-packed show. There's a lot of things I want to get to, a lot of things I want to target. Also, for those who are watching, or I should say watching the replay, my apologies, you could certainly still leave whatever thoughts, any disagreements, agreements, debate, etc. Leave those on there as well. As you know, I will follow up with you guys and gals. All right, we all know that the tournament has begun. In essence, I know last night you had both Texas and Howard advance, and I'm not going to spend too much time on that because I was wrapped up in something else last night, and that's where I'm going to begin. That being the World Baseball Classic and Venezuela. I mean, this was certainly, I don't want to go as far as saying it was out of the blue. No pun intended, since that's one of their colors on the flag. And I'm going to start off by saying this before I even get to the game, before we break it all down, talk about Venezuela, I'll break down the U.S. as well. I have to admit, for the very first time since the World Classic has been around, this is dating back to 2006. And now 20 years. And this is what, the 6th tournament that they've had? Let me see. Japan, U.S. This is the 6th one. I have to say, not only have I've invested, but I believe I'm now bought in. And for many reasons. And I understand it's an exhibition. And you know me, I am a traditionalist. I don't believe in this stuff. When the Baseball Classic first came, I was like, whatever. And yes, I saw highlights. I followed from afar. I knew who won those championships during each one of those 6, including last night. But to actually follow it. Now, the first few days I had to warm up to it because, are you really watching Great Britain? Are you watching Israel? Are you watching Australia? I mean, come on. Who are we kidding here, people? But as we got past the pool round and got into the quarterfinal, I was intrigued. And I had seen some of the highlights and even watched a couple of the games. I did see the USA-Mexico game and even part of the USA-Italy game leading up to the quarterfinals. But even then, that was the most World Baseball Classic that I watched in the 20 years of its existence. I didn't really follow. I didn't really invest. And for those who are hopping on board for the first time, please share your thoughts in the room as you see there at the bottom. And welcome to today's live stream. I see we got double-digit numbers here so far, so I just wanted to put that out there for those who are just jumping on board. Right now I'm talking WBC, but even I can't believe that I got so invested in the World Baseball Classic to the point where once we got to last Thursday and Friday, when U.S. played Canada on Friday, but we got to the quarterfinal, and then Sunday I was all over the USA-Dominican game, and that obviously was a great baseball game. I understand a bunch of errors there, not literal errors, but base running blunders and a couple of strategy issues with Dominican Republic there on Sunday night. And then we saw the comeback by Venezuela. Not only did they beat Japan along the way, but then also beating Italy to then play the USA last night. And I can't believe how wrapped up I got into this. I really can't. To the point where when it happens in 3 years again, am I going to sit here and say I can't wait? But you know what? Yeah, I'll be looking forward to it. And there's a lot of underlying things. One, I love the crowds. Now, again, I didn't watch all the games. And you have to admit, the crowds have been tremendous. More so from the Latin communities, the Latin nations than, let's say, Italy or even the U.S. for that matter. And I understand Aaron Judge got slaughtered for what he said a few days ago, saying that the building is more electric in a WBC, and I'm paraphrasing, than a World Series. And I get it. It's the World Series. It's what we watch. It's what we grew up on. And for him to say that at first, I kind of like, what? But then I thought about it. And I have to admit, and I'm in the my minority when it comes to this. I actually agree. Because when you look at fan bases, and I'll take Yankees, Dodgers, for instance, and we all know those are rabid fan bases. Those are two of the big cornerstone franchises in the sport. And you can even look at last year, Dodgers, Toronto, how the Blue Jays were over the moon about their team. But the thing is that I can get where Judge is coming from when he says the building is electric. The fans are just crazy. Because these fans from Venezuela, Dominican Republic, Puerto Rico, even Japan, I understand they may not be as vociferous and flamboyant as the teams, Mexico, from the Latin nations, but they literally hang on every pitch. They're literally bringing in bongos and they're playing instruments, and the atmosphere is just through the roof. And that's part of the charm. That's part of the allure of this baseball classic, is because nobody's sitting on their hands. I got news for you. If that game last night was USA versus Italy, obviously it would have been a pro-USA crowd, number one, which is fine. I mean, the game is played in Miami. But, I mean, how many people from Italy are flying to the U.S. to watch the World Baseball Classic? I mean, let's be real. And I'm sure they would have had a smattering of fans, no doubt. But that was almost a home game for Venezuela last night. And based on some of the research I've done, Venezuela has the second most, I don't want to say community or population, whatever, but they are a lot of Venezuelans in the Miami area. So you know that they were going to come out in droves to not only watch the game against Italy, but also last night for a championship. And listen, you can knock Aaron Judge for saying that, and I can see why. Because, and listen, I'm not going to be naive to think that the World Baseball Classic is now the end-all, be-all. I mean, people, I haven't lost my mind to that extent. We all know it's about Major League Baseball, World Series, when the two teams are going at it. But let's face it, we could go back in history to some of these matchups, and they do not provide or even come close to bringing the excitement than what we've seen here, especially with the USA Dominican Republic and USA Venezuela that we have over these last few days. You mean to tell me Arizona, Texas? I understand game 2 was probably the best game out of all of them because Texas came back. Oh, Texas won game 1. I know Corey Seager had the game-tying home run, and then they won it in extras. And then game 2, Arizona actually won 9-3. They weren't going away. But there's no buzz, anything close to what we saw here last night with the World Baseball Classic. And the part of the reason is because it's a single game elimination tournament. That's why you have that feel. It's almost a March Madness type of event to where, or World Cup, whatever you want to call it, because once you get to that one game, that's it. Where baseball, 7 games. You understand, you see. And that's why I think Judge was referring to having the crowd, the excitement, the electricity, and the stakes a lot much more higher because it's one game than a 7-game series in October. So, again, I'm in the micro when it comes to him understanding and even to an extent agreeing with what it is that he had to say. I know people may differ. People say, oh, Jay Reels, you're nuts, whatever. But did you not watch these games? Did you not see Venezuela and their people and Dominican Republic? And why do you think that they hit home runs and they stopped? More so the Dominican Republic than anybody, because Venezuela, they did a little bit of that after William Abreu's home run. But, yeah, part of their DNA is based off of pride, is based off of swag, is based off of them being exuberant, flamboyant. That's it. U.S. were not like that. U.S., you saw Harper at the home run. I'm going to get to the game in a second. You saw Harper at the home run, and, yeah, he's rounding the bases. He's pointing to the flag, and then he goes, yeah, and that's it. And they all came out of the dugout. And, yeah, you saw a couple of high fives or certain handshakes. But, right, they're not going to bring out a jacket. They're not going to bring out gold chains. They're not going to bring out whatever it is, like some of the other countries do. And the funny thing is that we've seen this in other sports. We've seen the U with the interception chain. We've seen the Mets years ago with the car wash when they hit the home run, or the OMG. And to me, I think that's even better for baseball, because baseball right now, and knowing that there's a CBA forthcoming, who knows? The sport could be on life support for all we know when we get to December, and certainly into next year. So that's why I got wrapped up in this baseball classic. That's why I shockingly, admittedly, got into this a lot more than I ever thought, because I'm sure you could go back a couple of weeks ago to the podcast or to these live streams by me saying that, oh, you know what? Yeah, I'm going to watch. Yeah, I'll follow. Here I am at the end of it. I'm like, wow, I couldn't get enough of it. Now, if it was, chances are this wouldn't happen. If it was Great Britain and Australia in the final, I probably would watch. Would I be watching every pitch? No, I would not. So there is a difference there. But we understand that those are not powerhouses when it comes to baseball. All right, let me shut up and get to the game last night, because I want to talk about both sides. Listen, I got to give it up for Venezuela. They pitched phenomenally. Their bullpen was lights out. The one mistake to Harper, I'll get to that in a minute. It wasn't really a hard-hit ball in sight. It seemed like every batter was 0-1 or 1-2. The game was moving along quickly until you got to the 8th inning. And again, Eduardo Rodriguez, he's a good lefty. You saw him there last night. He could top 95 on a good day, but he's a guy that has to hit his spots. If he's not hitting his spots, he's not going to get guys out. As you saw that, I'm sure, in the game against the Dominican Republic, he gave up like 6 runs or whatever it was. I don't have the box score in front of me, but pitched fantastic. You had the kid from Seattle, Edward Brazardo. He was phenomenal. The closer, Palencia, the Cub reliever, lights out there in the 9th inning. But it was a game where the U.S. offense was lifeless. Harper had 2 to 3 hits, and obviously that second one was a big one. But nobody else did absolute squat. And listen, it's not as if Venezuela's throwing out Pedro Martinez, you name it, Randy Johnson of the world. I'm just trying to think of other pitchers. They're not throwing out lights-out pitchers. And I get it. Maybe some of these hitters aren't familiar with these guys, but still. And give it up. And Venezuela, they showed their resilience. They didn't buckle after that just almost knockout blow by Harper in the 8th inning. And I got news for you. Walks, no matter first inning, 3rd inning, I understand a lot can turn into double plays, but it seems like when the bigger the stakes the game is, especially when you get to the late innings, walks always kill you. Here we were, bottom of the 8th, 2-0 Venezuela. 2 out. Bobby Witt works out, I believe it was a 4-pitch walk, if I'm not mistaken. Or maybe it was 3-1. Works out a walk. Harper, who I understand got a hit early in the game and has been atrocious throughout this whole tournament. What happens? I believe it was a 1-0 pitch. Maybe it was 2-0. Fastball down the middle. Even Smoltz said, he's like, hey, if you're going to throw a fastball, you got to throw it away. Obviously, that wasn't the case. The minute he swung and hit it, I knew it was gone. 420 whatever feet. Game was tied, and now you thought to yourself, if Venezuela does not score in the top of the 9th inning, they're not going to win the game. Because I thought U.S. at 4, 5, and 6, all the momentum would have been on their side, and whether they would have won in the bottom of the ninth. And I understand that Venezuela would have had a shot, top of the 10th, etc. But I just felt that the U.S. was going to win that game. And as it was, Garrett Whitlock, who he has been lights out throughout this tournament, what happens to him? First batter up, walks him. And that is a cardinal sin. Your offense was lifeless the whole night. Now you get this boost, this jolt of energy. Now it's Pro USA. They drown out the Venezuelan fans. And what do? You walk the first guy. And I believe that was on 4 pitches. And then he steals second, which was a big steal because think about it. The manager, Omar Lopez, that was who walked at that tour? Because they didn't brought in Sonoha. They took out, because he was a slow runner. Geez, off the top of my head, I'm drawing blanks. Was it Ezekiel Tovar? No, it was not, because that was the 3-hitter. You had Acuna. You had your 2-hitter. Geez, now I'm drawing blanks all of a sudden. Well, anyway, it was smart of him to take out the third-place hitter. It'll come to me, and I'm sure they're probably typing in the room right now. They took out the third-place hitter to put in a pinch runner, which was Sonoha, who was a Marlin player. And you read his stats or heard about him. He stole 6 bases last year, got caught 5 times. And what did he do? He stole second, looked like it was bang, bang. Got to see the replay. He saw the replay. He just got in. And even though it may have been close, maybe the toe didn't tap right away and in the glove, but they're not going to overturn that. It has to be conclusive evidence. And then what happens? Eugenio Suarez, power hitter, veteran hitter, pokes one in the left center field gap, run scores, 3-2. Now all the whole building is now into Venezuela. New life. And that run that did not come in was huge because I thought at 4-2, who knows? But because they had 4, 5, and 6 coming up, and I know Danny Palencia was a guy that it was unknown whether or not he was going to come in based on the rules with the World Baseball Classic. You only pitch a certain amount of days, throw a certain amount of pitches, but he was available. I get it. Mason Miller wasn't available, or David Bednar. Those 2 guys that obviously, but listen, you can't knock Garrett Whitlock. The guy has been literally unhittable throughout this tournament. And listen, he walked the guy, they steal a base, and he gives up a double. I mean, what are you going to do? Think about when the Venezuela scored their first run. It was what? A single, a walk, a wild pitch, and then a sac fly. Sometimes that's the best way to manufacture a run. Cheers, H2O. So now you have a situation where Venezuela takes the lead, and then you have Palencia come in, and it was literally lights out. Strikes out Schwarber, pops out Gunnar Henderson, who pinch hits, and then Roman Anthony strikes out, and that's your WBC. And one more time, all bouquets thrown at the feet of Omar Lopez, the manager, Venezuelan team. They were gritty, gutty, obviously resilient. They didn't let that home run break them, where maybe another team would have broke them. And they're a first-time champ. And by any means, not trying to get political here, but with what's going on in that region and that part of the world, I'm sure that whole country is going to celebrate until the next baseball classic. And you know what? They deserve it, rightfully so. Now, as far as the U.S. goes, yes, Venezuela upsets the U.S. in the WBC final. Of course, if you have a comment, people, for those who are just jumping in for the first time, please do so. Share your thoughts in the chat. I'm going to get to the comments after my critique here of the USA baseball. I already mentioned how flat they were offensively. It was almost as if, I don't want to say they underestimated Venezuela, but yeah, like I said, before you know it, they were in 0-1 counts, 1-2 counts, and they're just hacking. Weren't patient. I believe the whole night they had, 5 base runners, had a couple of walks squeezed in there in between. Obviously, they're walking the 8th inning. It was a walk earlier in the game. And then the other hit was by Bryce Terang, the second baseman. It was almost as if they weren't patient. And I get it. They were pounding the strike zone. They were getting ahead of the count, etc. But to me, that was just a lackluster Sorry, I accidentally muted myself. I don't know how I did that, but my apologies. I hit the mute button. Yes, Fuqua. All right, how about now? Yeah, I think I accidentally hit the mute button because just me and my gestures and all that. Jeff Kintz. Can you hear me, guys? Just give me a thumbs up or anything. Oh, I see my guy Mark Sammons is in the room. Don't worry, I got your license plate, my guy. Can you guys hear me? Please leave a comment. Yes, no, maybe so. I'm off mute. Sound is good. Thank you, Fuqua. I appreciate it. AKA Tatsuya Mai, AKA Minnesota Fats, Cowboy Bull, Dad's Chips, Everyday Mets, etc. Back on air. Thank you, Bio. I'll get to your comments in a minute. I see Jeff Kintz put up a comment, Venezuelan players. Trust me, I got you guys. Just bear with me here. So, yeah, I almost looked at USA like, did it just think they were going to roll out there and just win the game after them stopping that Dominican Republic offense and pretty much shutting them down? And to go to Jeff Kintz's comment, you could say that 7 months out of the year, so on and so forth, whatever, and here it is, this team. But the team has been constructed. And listen, this isn't the 1970s where it was National League versus American League, that both leagues hated one another with interleague and fraternization. And a lot of these guys have played with one another, whether it was in previous tournaments or even dating back to high school, things of that nature. So, yeah, I'm not going to buy the chemistry aspect of it, because if that was the case, then how come nothing was said when they beat the Dominican Republic 2 nights before? Listen, Venezuela they obviously outpitched the U.S. And Nolan McLean, can I get on him? Listen, he gave up a meatball to Wilyer Abreu to make it 2-0. I know he had the wild pitch. But, yeah, I mean, he was fine. But they didn't get any offense. You got to win by scoring runs. So, but with the U.S., listen, I understand it's a thing where people are going to look at this and question. I only bring it up from a sports talk perspective because, let's face it, not even a month from now, 2 weeks from now, is anybody going to care? Is anybody going to think back, oh, U.S. lost in the World Baseball Classic? Maybe 3 years from now, they're going to say, hey, we went to the last 2. We lost to Japan in 2023. We know how that ended with the Shohei Ohtani strikeout of Mike Trout and then what happened there against Venezuela. And maybe then there'll be juice. There'll be a bit of a groundswell. But right now, no, that's it. It's over. We talk about it today. I'm not going to bring it up until 2029. Let's be real. Now we're going to get to the real games a week from today where we're all going to rejoice, hope springs eternal, etc. But in closing, when it comes to the tournament and even USA for that matter, I'm going to say this. I know it's tough, and I'm just from a USA perspective, I know it's tough because you have egos. And I know Aaron Judge said we've all checked our egos at the door, blah, 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 etc. But I would only hope that whomever is on the team in 2029, they just stay on the team. To see Tarek Skubal in the dugout last night, who pitched one game, when, let's think about it, Skubal could have pitched in that game last night. Now, maybe Skeens could have pitched that game last night because I'm sure based on his track record, 2 Cy Youngs, I know Skeens won last year, but he's been in the league a lot longer. We all know he's going to be a free agent after this year, that maybe Skubal would have gotten the start against Dominican Republic, and then Skeens would have got the start tonight if they so advanced. But to see Skubal in the dugout and a lot of these players that were in and out, Joe Ryan, they brought him on maybe to pitch, and then I believe if your set roster is going to be that, you show up or don't show up at all. That's it. End of story. And I have it out for Skubal, which J-Rod and I, we talked about it a lot, and now I'll get to your comments. I haven't recorded it yet, but I'm going to talk about Tarek Skubal in a vlog. I'm going to do a commentary on him based on last year, especially in the postseason, and everything that's transpired from that point on to right now. Because that's going to be a big theme this year. Now, I understand it's all about the teams and how they do, et cetera, but Skubal is going to be fascinating because does he get traded by the deadline? does anybody want to trade for him at the deadline, knowing that he has a big payday forthcoming and knowing that the team that may trade for him, giving you a little insight here, the team that may trade for him may not get 100% of Tyrese Skubal. And that's what's going to be fascinating. So hang on to your hats. I'll definitely have that up before opening day. Maybe I'll have it up on opening day. We'll see. But stay tuned to the channel for more on that when it comes to that. But that's what I want to see, camaraderie. I want to see, like, everybody that's going to be there is going to be there. Not Skubal pitch one day and then he's gone. And, I'm going to come back for the final. I don't want to see that. No. If you're there from the start, be there for the finish. You know the old saying, if you weren't there for the wedding, then don't be there for the funeral. So don't be there when things were good and blah, blah, blah. And then when they lose, I'm just sitting in the dugout. And come on. As a competitor, how does that make you feel? I don't want to question the guy's character, and I understand he's got $400 million probably coming to him. But you're paid to pitch. You're paid to be in those big games. And granted, it's the WBC. It's not the World Series. It's not the ALCS. And as we saw last year, do I need to remind J-Rod? Not that I need to. But to remind the baseball fan last year, this guy threw 99 pitches in 6 innings in Game 5 to go to the ALCS against the Seattle Mariners. And after he threw his 99th pitch at 101 miles an hour, I might add, to Cal Raleigh, a guy who was runner-up in the MVP. And that was it. Good night. I'm done. I don't need to come out anymore. Where earlier in the postseason, against the Guardians in the wildcard game, he threw 7 2/3 innings, I believe, threw 114 pitches. Could you knock it out for one more inning? It's Game 5. It's to advance. It's your legacy. It's everything. No, I'm taking myself out. 99 pitches. I gave you everything I got, Skip. Sorry. I don't want guys on my team with that mentality. All right, let's get to the comments. Then I'll get to the tournament, etc., which is going to be interesting. Yeah, let's go sports, of course. Fuqua. It's got to be a Met pitcher to lose the WBC. Listen, he didn't pitch terribly, but yeah. But he didn't lose. Think about it, Fuqua. Harper tied the game. Garrett Whitlock lost. So he got a no decision. So Harper bailed him out. Of course, Bio and Val, who always counts the likes. I love it. Thank you, Val. Fuqua was the last pitcher that came in, a Met as well. No, Garrett Whitlock's on the Red Sox. Yeah, Garrett Whitlock, Red Sox. Everybody's showing love today. I love it. How's life? How's everything? Good. Of course, Val, his Sharks, I know. Not playing well. Warriors Celtics tonight, by the way. ESPN. Up, pure joy. Should stadiums ban smartphones and only allow flip phones? Listen, if that's the case there, pure joy, and I don't know if you're still with us, you posted that comment 22 minutes ago. How many people on this planet that are under, we'll say 60, have a flip phone? That means you got to ban everybody because everybody has a smartphone. So I'll just leave it there. Let's see. Signed offensive Jack Anderson, Stars player. Dallas Stars. All right. Hey, it's good for them. All right, Mark Salmons. All right. Something's happening with my mic here. I think my mouse is clicking it, so I'm going to stay away from the mouse right now so you guys can hear me. It's the cable. I can't touch the cable because for whatever the reason, and it's connected into the USB port. So my apologies for the delay there. You know what's funny about that question there, Mark Salmons? Which one of those two players won an MVP? I'm sure you guys can answer that. And you'd be surprised. And what year did he win that MVP, by the way? As I scroll down, let me see if anybody's answered that. Nobody's answered it yet? All right, so I'll answer it for you. Kevin Mitchell won the MVP in 1989. I believe he hit 47, 128. I don't know what he batted. I can look that up. But Darryl Strawberry, who's been off the top of my head, especially with the Mets, I believe was top 5 in MVP, 88 for sure because he was 2. 87, I think he was 4 or 5. I could look that up for grins and giggles. Darryl Strawberry. But Kevin Mitchell. But who was the better player? Listen, you like Kevin Mitchell was clutch too. But, I mean, Strawberry was a better player. I mean, that goes without saying. All right, here we go. Strawberry had how many first place or yeah, he was I thought he was top 5 3 times. Well, the one time, 87 he was 6th, 88 he was 2nd behind Kirk Gibson, of course, Dodgers that year. And then in his final year in New York, he was 3rd. So, yeah, I thought he was a 5 in 87. Rookie of the years, Strawberry was an all-star every year from 84 to 91, even that one year in L.A. And, yeah, that was Straw's career. But good one there, Mark. I like that. J-Rod, I think that is why football is my sport. You could be the best team ever. One game we won. Yeah, no, that's why I think football is the best sport. Or it's your sport, I should say. No, I can see that. That's the thing. Oh, God, how many times? I could talk about this till I'm blue in the face. Teams that were 1 seeds, they get bounced badly. The Packers were 15-1 in 2011. Aaron Rodgers was the MVP, and the Giants went in there and beat him. And the Giants were 9-7 that year. I mean, ugh. But the thing is, I see where you're coming from in that regard, Jay. But I don't think the moments in baseball are they're literally at the edge of your seat. Football's not like that. Like, for instance, when it was 4th and whatever it was, I think it was 4th and goal at the 24-yard line, the Caleb Williams, the throw. Now, when you see the end result of him going back to pass and the ball's up in the air and you're like, oh, let's see what happens. And he catches it. You're like, oh, my God, I can't believe it. But, yeah, baseball, it's like you got to wait for the pitcher to deliver the ball and what's going to happen there. And if he fouls off 100 pitches, you're just like, oh, geez, like the suspense just keeps building. Where with football, did the suspense build on that play? I mean, that was a miraculous play. And we could go through a million miraculous plays in the NFL history. Immaculate reception, the helmet catch, the holy roller, goes to the post. Yeah, and that's where Mark Salmon's there, who look up goes to the post for him. But, yeah. I mean, all those things where, although they're forever remembered in NFL history, but baseball, you remember that at bat forever. You remember Game 1 of the 2000 World Series, Game 1 where Paul O'Neill fouled off a million pitches and he walked. And as we all know, walks kill you. What happened? 3-2 in the 9th inning. He came around to score on a sac fly. Mets lose in extras. Mets lose the World Series. You just remember those at-bats. You remember those moments. So that's why I think baseball is better in that regard. And plus, there's no clock. NFL is a clock. Same for the NBA, et cetera. Fishing Angel. Piss USA lost. You know what? Am I pissed? I don't know. I can't say I am. And it's funny because when you're watching that and you see it afterwards and you just see the exuberation for Venezuela, I mean, listen, I was happy for them. I was. I don't know. I just think that it's weird. When it comes to like the Olympic basketball team, I mean, that's more of a joke too. Although the competition it's become a lot closer over the years. But do I get crazy when the U.S. wins basketball? No. Because I expect them to win. Just like I expected the U.S. to win last night. We talked about it yesterday. And when they lost, am I like pissed off throwing stuff or whatever? I'm like, no. Oh, well. Now, if U.S. was an underdog in this game and they lost, I'd be more pissed. Because I would hope, I was hoping that they'd win, number one. Number two, if they lost, maybe they didn't hit, I'd be like, yeah, I would kill them even more today. And listen, I got on them how flat they were, but yeah. And even when the USA won in the hockey, I thought Canada was going to win. I really did. And USA won. I hated the 3-on-3 format, as you know. But, yeah, when Jack Hughes scored, I was like, oh, scored. But then that was it. I wasn't clapping like, oh, my God, I can't believe it. No. Because if they lost, I would have felt the same way. I would have been like, oh, McDavid scored. All right. And the thing is that we've closed the gap between, obviously, from what we saw here, But we've closed the gap. Like if U.S. was a big-time underdog, now if we're talking USA 1980, I mean, come on. You'd be a fool if you weren't rooting for the U.S., especially at that time, Cold War, the mighty Soviets, etc. But if the U.S. was a big underdog and they lost that game last night, yeah, I'd be pissed. I'd be like, damn, they went this far and this is what happens? They beat Dominican Republic. They had one more game to win. Then, yeah. But I'm not pissed. I don't know. Maybe it's me. All right, let's see what Jeff said. I don't know if he's still with us. If you know anything about baseball, you need to talk about that aspect. Our season ends October, the end of October. Listen, Jeff, how many of those players on the Venezuelan team play in the major leagues? I mean, it's countless players. The whole lineup is in the major leagues. So you can't say that they're together 7 months out of the year. Now, if this was a Venezuelan national team where you had guys that you never heard of, and maybe there's one or two pros on there, I give you that. So to say, if I know anything about baseball, I need to talk about that aspect because, yeah, and I understand they're countrymen. They know each other. I'm sure when they play against one another, they probably go out to eat together. They hang out before the game while stretching or doing sprints, whatever it is. Now, they're not doing it together. Obviously, they're doing it separate teams, but let's say they meet in center field and they high five or whatever they do. I understand that. But this isn't a situation where these guys are now going back to Venezuela and they're going to play on their baseball team down there. No. These guys are on the major leagues. Acuna's on the Braves. Sano's on the Marlins. Eugenio Suarez is in Arizona. I mean, these guys are all over the place. They're all over Major League Baseball. So you can't say that these guys are together 7 months out of the year. That's not a fact. That's wrong. So I disagree with you there. Now, at the end of the year, do they go back to Venezuela? Maybe they train? Yeah, they do. But are they there together every waking moment? And remember, from October to February is what, 4 months? So they're not together 7 months out of the year. Because 7 months out of the year, it's spring training from February to October. And February, that's 8 months. So the other 4 months, as I mentioned, all right, they may go back home. They're together. They yuck it up, train together, etc. But, yeah, no, that's off. Yes, Fishing Angel. Hello. Uh-oh. Phone died. All right, got the charger going. All right, let's see. Reason USA didn't win is because they had the most important players not playing. Well, that's why I mentioned about Skubal instead of McClain. Not that McClain pitched bad, but let me digest that for a second. No, well, listen, you had Judge, you had Harper, you had Schwarber, you had Bobby Witt. I know Gunnar Henderson didn't play till later. You could have put Kyle Raleigh in there, but they had Will Smith. Smith, because I guess his experience as a Dodger playing in those high-intense type games. Listen, he won the World Series last year. He hit the home run in extra innings against Toronto in Game 7. And I get it with the pitchers. I know no David Bednar, no Mason Miller. You could argue that. To me, Fishing Angel, the reason why they didn't win is they didn't hit. That's it. They didn't hit. I mean, their bullpen was great. After McClain was out, the bullpen did their job, even without Miller and Bednar. So I can't even use that. I can see if they gave up runs late. Now, Whitlock did, but Whitlock was perfect throughout the whole tournament. So I can see if you brought in Whitlock and the guy gave up 2 home runs in the tournament, or he pitched terribly against Dominican Republic where he gave up 2 runs or whatever, then you can say, oh, why is this guy in there? Why don't you put the other guy? But you can't. So to me, they didn't hit. Dan Muse confirms Sidney Crosby returns to the lineup. Oh, so he's coming back. Oh, that's bad news for the Islanders. Yes. Yeah, I'm going to talk about this later. I'll spend a couple minutes on that. Yeah, and they haven't. Cyrus just in the revenue growth expected to be. Oh, wow. So because they didn't reveal any details. So that's news to me. USA needs more winners on the team. I love it. We got the LA avatar there, bio. Listen, that would help. And that's why, my case in point, that's why Will Smith caught last night. And I know Raleigh, who knows? And Raleigh hadn't really hit that much. I think he hit a home run early on in the tournament. He may have. But that's why I didn't see Raleigh there, which is not fair. I mean, That's why you saw Harper. Harper's played in the World Series. Judge has played in the World Series. Schwarber has won a World Series. Will Smith's won a World Series. Won 2. Thinking who else in the lineup. Bobby Witt, he's been in the playoffs, but you have 4 guys there that obviously. So yeah, and I can see if they have more winners. Hey, I know Freddie Freeman's long in the tooth as far as his age, and he's played previously. And I understand you can't have everybody in your lineup that have been World Series winners. I get that too, but maybe they do need a little bit more. They don't have a pitcher. It's not as if Blake Snell was in the squad, and Snell may have been in the squad in 23, if I'm not mistaken. It's not as if he was pitching, or pick another name. Somebody from the Astros. Trying to think of one of their starters. Well, not Framber Valdez. He's no longer there. I get it. But yeah, just pick anybody. So, in my opinion, why USA lost the WBC? Everybody knows it's useless worse than spring training games. You know what? I disagree with you, Fuqua. You know why? Because I would not watch a spring training game to save my life. And that's your opinion. I get it. 100%. And trust me, this was the only time that I've really gravitated toward this. And yeah, I loved it. I listen, I cannot front. I listen as much as I could try to, nobody cares. Listen, I cared enough to watch from USA Mexico. And I watched a little bit of Italy game. But I watched a little bit of PR Italy. I watched the end. I didn't watch the whole thing. I did watch the latter part of Venezuela, Japan. No, as a matter of fact, that's a lie. When it was 5-2, I started watching that game. I was like, Japan's going to win. Then I saw, hit the home run. Who hit the 2-run home run? Abreu hit the 3-run home run to make it 7-5. The kid that hit the home run to make it 5-4. Not Jackson Chorio. Ay. Again, my brain is clouded. But I watched from 5-2 on. And I said, I got to see this would be an upset. And, of course, USA Dominica. I watched the game last night. I was in and out of the Venezuela-Italy game. And I'm glad. If that was USA-Italy, that would have been a disaster. U.S. would have destroyed them. And if Italy would have beaten them, and they beat them early on in the tournament, that would have been, to me, that would have been worse. Let's see. Yes, Bio, I agree when it comes to having more winners. 97 in California. Oh, man. Send that sucker here. What is the temperature here now? Temperature in New York, I know this morning was 26 degrees. It's 33, and it feels like 28. Yeah, I'm sure Clio, Michigan is not that better. Bio, Mitchell 89. Yes, I was. You won the MVP that year. J-Rod, getting ready for Thursday and Friday. Favorite time of the year. I'll be watching as many games. Yeah, absolutely. Dow Strawberry. You tell him, Fishing Angel. Yeah, it's my all-time favorite. So, snowing. Oh, goodness. Yeah, Kevin Mitchell. Yeah, he was in gangs in San Diego as a kid. Yeah, he was tough. That fight against the Reds in 86, fighting 3 guys. I think he was beating up Mario Soto. He got kicked in the ribs, spitting out blood. Oh, yeah. 86 Mets. That in St. Louis, the barehanded catch, left field line. Yeah, that is one. Very underrated. Breaking news. Is that right? With a laugh. Got some shenanigans going on over there in the J-Rod household. Kevin Mitchell almost hit one out of Riverfront. No, Kevin Mitchell did. Mark, you're right about that. No, Kevin Mitchell did have a lot of power. In fact, let me think. There was a time. This is not when he was with the Mets, because he got traded for Kevin McReynolds. He went to San Diego after the 86 season. And then he went to the Giants the following year. Yeah, I was trying to think. Was it in Wrigley? It was a game where he hit a bomb. I mean, a lot of people hit home runs out of Wrigley, but yeah, I'm trying to think. I got to go back and think about that. But yeah, no, he had immense power. I mean, he didn't have immense power like when you think of guys like Dave Kingman or Adam Dunn, like home run slugs. I mean, he was built like a tank and did have power, but he wasn't one of those guys that just had that freakish power, which those guys had. Baseball's a clock. Is there not a pitch clock? Gotcha, sir. Oh, yeah, they do have a pitch clock. But what I mean is that, obviously, with the NFL, NBA, and I know you're joking with me, it's not like the game's going to end. Oh, there's 2 minutes left. I understand it's the top of the ninth, but at the end of 2 minutes, the game is over. That's what I mean. Yes, it does, because a week from today is the Yankees-Giants on Netflix. Yes, Yankees-Giants on Netflix. Kind of like the tournament, right? Where you had the 2 games last night, the 2 games tonight. But to me, the tournament starts tomorrow. So let's call it like we see it. But Fishing Angel, I know I've done a terrible job. I set you on Monday, and that is an awful job by me. You know what? I can even show you, to be honest with you, if I pull up my screen. I do have him here on my YouTube. Oh, I don't have it connected. How about this? I'll make a promise right here, a pinky swear, that by the next time I do my live, which will be tomorrow, I will have. And the thing is, I just want to don't go based on listening to 1 or 2 songs. Because I remember J-Rod had sent me some music, some metal stuff, and I understand that I just can't go based on 1 or 2 songs. Not to say I'm going to listen to the whole catalog, but I want to be able to absorb and get a feel. I just don't want to listen to 1 or 2 of his hits, because if I listen to that, then I could sell you. I could give you an opinion, but I'd rather give you an opinion based on a body of work as opposed to, I listened to 1 video and I could say, hey, I love it. Or I could say, nah, I'm nothing crazy about it. So, and you know what? I said tomorrow, I got to give myself a little bit more time. How about get me through the weekend, and by Monday, how about that? To where I could really get a feel. I could listen to several songs and I could tell you like, yeah, or no, or wow, or Is that fair? How about that? But my apologies, because I know on Monday I said, oh yeah, by Wednesdays. So hand raise high in the air. You know me. I got to be transparent. Not going to fake the funk. But by Monday, I will do that. God, 0 hits. Oh, so you know what? That hit that he must have had was in spring training, because I think he had a home run in spring training. Yeah, I don't know. DeRozan wants the WBC in the summer instead of spring training. Yeah, and also Jason Stark had an article, famed baseball writer out of Philadelphia. He was saying how baseball should do the preliminaries now, where you have your pools, go through it during spring training. And then at the All-Star break, that's where you have your quarterfinal, semifinal, and final. I like the idea, but what I don't like about it is, and I go, oh yeah, hold the suspense. No. You want to be able to have this all done in one shot. You don't want to have to, and what if guys get hurt between now and then? You could compromise the competition at that point. And here's the other thing that I liked about the World Baseball Classic, again, now more than ever, is that it got me through a 12-day period where I was interested in watching baseball, where if there's no World Baseball Classic, I am not watching a second of spring training. And that goes for all sports. I don't watch preseason football. I don't watch preseason basketball or hockey. I don't. Now, the preseason hockey, if there's a fight, I'd want to see that. But I can't get wrapped up in it. To me, and the Mets could be 28-0 in exhibition. Tell me when the games start. And I don't care if Juan Soto hit 100 home runs in spring. All right, I want to see 100 home runs then in the regular season. That's why I don't get caught up in exhibition. So that's the other reason why I liked about it more so this time than ever. But yeah, if DeRozan wants to, I don't know. You almost have to do it like the Olympics. Now, the good thing about it, it's 12 days because it started March 5th and ended yesterday. Can baseball do that? I guess they could. But then you have to extend your season. Or you're going to have to throw double headers in the mix, and I don't think owners want to do that. to make up the 12-day period. And who knows what's going to happen with the Olympics, as I see J-Rod here. Yeah, Val, yeah. Why are they even going to keep the WBC if baseball is in the Olympics? That don't make sense to have both. Well, that's what's going to be fascinating because remember, once upon a time, they did have an Olympic team. I remember 84. Mark McGuire was on that team. I believe Will Clark was on that team. Who else? How long ago? Jack McDowell on that team, maybe. Good old White Sox days. Yankees, too. Yeah. Why even keep the WBC if that's the case? Yeah, I don't know how I feel about baseball in the Olympics now. Because what are you going to do? Are you really going to have the Great Britons of the world? Are you going to do that? I understand why baseball, I can understand why the WBC has to do that. But the Olympics don't have to do that. The Olympics should have Japan, Korea. You want to say Taipei, Taiwan, because you have a lot of players that, of course, the Little League World Series, a lot of those teams that won Little League World Series. I understand they may not be great teams, but you had those 3 Asian teams. Obviously, U.S., Dominican Republic, Mexico, Venezuela, Puerto Rico. That's 8. Yeah, I mean, you can put Israel. I mean, it just. But then you have 8 teams. You can't have what? You're going to have 2 pools. If you come up with 12, you have 3 pool teams. I understand you want to have at least 4. It's tricky, but listen, that's obviously not for me to decide. So 26 feels like 14. Oh, yeah, that's no joke. I see you, Fishing Angel. Mother Nature needs to stop this dang cold weather and snow. Yes. And deal, Pinky Promise. I appreciate that. Thank you, Fishing Angel, for your understanding, your patience, etc. So it took 1 minute to break your promises. 1 minute. No, more than a minute, Jay. It's actually took me what? 2 days? No, I don't know if I promised then, though. I did say I was going to do it, so I got to be a man of my word, and that's why I apologize. So that's it. But now I got no excuse. I put my pinky swear by Monday that 9:30, 9:45 podcast or the podcast pregame or afterwards, then listen, I have no legs to stand on if that's the case. J-Rod laughs out loud. I love it. Why are the Starks struggling again? That's the ebbs and flows of seasons there, Val. I mean, what can you say? Don't worry, I'm going to get to the tournament stuff. I got to get to that. I may have to breeze through it at this pace. I know I got to catch up with these comments. But no, and who have they played here? I know they lost to, over the weekend, we talked about that with Montreal and Ottawa. And then, who did they play last night? I even forgot. I know the Red Wings beat Calgary, and I just said the 3 fights in the game, which I love. I didn't get to see those fights. Hockeyfights.com. Whoop, I shouldn't have done that. Hold on. Oh, look at that. Devon A. Chain off limits in trade. Well, the Dolphins have traded everybody. I mean, why not trade him too? Jeez. Let's see. Yeah, I'm trying to look for the games last night. Here we go. Yeah, listen, I obviously haven't watched the Sharks closely. Oh, in Edmonton, that's right, 5-3. Listen, they're on the end of a road trip too. Buffalo continues to 10-1-0, I think, or 10-1-1 since the Olympic break. But, yeah, I would just attribute it to a long road trip and the ebbs and flows. Have teams hit a wall here? I would probably say that right now, Val, more than anything. Let me get to the next comment. I see Mark Salmons. Speaking of exhibitions, are boxing exhibitions rigged? I think to a certain extent they are. Now, you can't say that about the last one with Jake Paul and Anthony Joshua. But that Tyson, Logan Paul, Jake Paul one was a joke. I'm sure some of the other ones. Now, Floyd Mayweather's going to fight Mike Tyson. I mean, what are we doing here? Is this what we're doing here, boxing? And then Floyd Mayweather's going to fight Manny Pacquiao again. Yeah, I don't know if they're rigged, but I would think that they are. I will just say that they are scripted, Mark. And I would think you would agree on that. 3 fights in flames right away. I got to see who fought in those games. Yeah, it's not going to be Tim Hunter and Bob Probert or Jim Poplinski and Joe Koser, that's for sure. Axel, what is happening, my man? Thanks for stopping by. The best part of hockey is when they take the gloves off. Yes. You're speaking my language there, Fishing Angel. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Axel, I'm well. How are things in Cincinnati? Yes, Val saying hello to Axel. Mayweather going broke? And listen, it's quite possible. Obviously, I don't know his lifestyle. He's Money Mayweather. I will say this. I get it that that's his moniker. That's what he's built his name off of. We know he's made a ton of money. I don't know his lifestyle. I'm not going to be here to judge that, whatever. That's for him to deal. But I got to say, enough of the antics on and I don't know if this was a few weeks ago or maybe this was early in the season. Who knows? Maybe this was recorded last year. If he's 21, 23, 25 years old and he's showing up at a Laker game courtside with a Louis Vuitton bag full of whatever it is, I'm sure it's hundreds, stacked like this. Floyd, what are we doing, my guy? Seriously? I mean, that is just, it's stupid. It's dumb. What? Do you have to show people that I have money just to validate your nickname or your existence? And I understand people say, oh, you're judging right now. It's not a matter of judging. It's just like, come on. Again, we were all young, dumb, and full of you know what. We were all stupid. We all did stupid things. And right, if he was a guy, 25 years old, champ of the world, blah, blah, blah. Hey, what's up, man? Yeah, I got 9 phones. I got 3 girls with me. I got bags of money. You know what? I'm going to make it rain here in front of everybody. All right, he's 25 years old. He thinks he's on top of the world. He thinks he's invincible, etc. And I know, here I am sounding like the morality police. But come on. I don't know. Insecurity, maybe? I don't know. But yeah, I don't like those antics by any means. After a while, I got to be some class. All right, yeah, you still want to rock your Louis Vuitton this and whatever, blah, blah, blah. Hey, have at it. That's you. You got it. Good. But you're going to carry, whatchamacallit? And let me see, I'm going to look the picture up because I got to show you for those who didn't see this. I'm sure you guys, you're on top of this, though. Floyd Mayweather. Courtside. I mean, this is a joke. Yeah, and I'll keep this muted. Oh, I got to watch with this cable because I don't want the mute. If it goes mute, I'll unmute it. All of a sudden, now this cable's sensitive. Oh, right here. Stand by, guys. I appreciate your patience here while I'm trying to look at that. I'm getting knocked out by my light here. You saw that, right? Yep. Blooper. That goes in the blooper reel. Yeah, maybe I'll put that in the blooper reel. Who knows? I'm sure you guys got to laugh at that. Maybe marked it too. Can you guys hear me? Yeah, the mic I think is good. Hold on. All right, so let me share this. If you guys didn't see this, how long ago? I just need to know how long ago this was. Can I get a date? No, I need to get a date because for all I know, this was done like 5 years ago. Yeah, and he's sitting next to Jay-Z. I mean, come on, man. Look, is Jay-Z's a billionaire and you're... And Jay-Z's reaction is priceless too, by the way. And I'm not a Jay-Z fan by any means. All right, this was Bleacher Report. I wish I could get a date on this. All right, let me share this. Let me see if you guys have seen this. I'm scrolling down. I'd like to be broke like that. Yeah, I hear you. Yeah, Paul Joshua wasn't rigged. I'll get to that, Mark. No, and I agree with you on that. All right, so here we go. Let me share a screen. We'll have some fun at the expense of Mr. Mayweather. Yeah, I'll try to keep it mute too. I think I can mute this. Hold on. Share. All right, this is Instagram. All right, it's muted. All right, so look, Floyd Mayweather counting his money in front of, oh, hold on. Let me make sure that I'm not half and half. All right, good. Let me just do this, get the full picture. I know I'm picking on Floyd Mayweather here, but it's, come on, like, what are we doing? What are we doing? Counting his money in front of, and his Jay-Z, by the way, and here's his daughter, Blue. So look at this. Are we that insecure that we got to do this? I mean, seriously? And I don't know who the girl's next. Look. He's giving people money. Or I don't know what he's doing. Maybe he ordered food and he didn't have cash. Or he didn't have his cards because he wants to bring cash. I mean, bruh, uh, it's insane. Right. Who am I to say? I get that, but come on. Let's see. I've been watching a lot of old Red Wings Colorado on 90. Yeah, that is. That's the heyday. Well, I wouldn't say the heyday, but it definitely resurrected the 70s, 80s, and early 90s. The Claude Lemieux hit on Chris Draper, Darren McCarty going at it with Lemieux, the Mike Vernon, Patrick Waugh. Oh, yeah. I mean, that's when. See, and that's what I miss about sports, when teams hated each other. That there's no fraternization. There's no like high fives after the game and hugs and all that. And I get it. This is the world we live in. No, I want teams to hate one another. That I don't even want to look at that guy, let alone have to even like shake his hand. That's what I'm talking about. And if sports was like that, it'd be a lot better. But, you know, is Tyson going to take third payday on script? Right. Maybe. I don't know Tyson's situation. He smokes his weed. I'm sure he has people growing it for him or whatever, but still. Yeah, Mark, listen, probably. Because, come on, you mean to tell me that Tyson's what? He's going to be 60? And listen, Mayweather's not a spring chicken either. He's 50. But if this was even close to being a real fight, and I get it, Mayweather's one of the best defensive fighters in the history of the sport. But if Tyson, even at 60, were able to connect flush, is Mayweather going to stand up to that? Probably not. Probably not. I know you or I, if we took a punch like that, forget about it. We're hitting the canvas. And even he, I'm sure ego would probably, wobbly, it was probably stand up, but no. But then, come on. You know, that was an exhibition. Broken jaw in two places, definitely not. So, Mark, I agree with you there. Seth Jarvis, time sticking. Thoughts on the decision? I got to see that. That was in the. Was that in the game with what's call it? Panthers and who did they play last night? No, hold on a second. That wasn't. Hold on. That was. I'm thinking of Seth Jones. Yeah, I saw that this morning, but I don't know. Yeah, I got to see the hit. I don't know. I got to see the play val. Yeah, I won't pull that up. I'll check that out later. Little guy from the Red Wings is trying to fight the whole Flames team. Oh, is that right? Oh, you see, I haven't seen that. And usually on socials, I follow hockeyfights.com, and every fight that comes up, they post it on their channel. So, yeah, I got to check that out. Yeah, no, definitely Hurricanes. But, yeah, I didn't see that. Yeah, I was thinking of Seth Jones on the Panthers. And he's been hurt, so I don't even know why I had Seth Jones on the brain. He's been out. I agree, Mark. Very crazy Venezuela won. But, yeah, I got to give it up. They played great. I like to be broke like that. Yeah. No, I hear that. Yeah, Jay-Z's big money, for sure. No, I didn't watch it, J-Rod. I was wrapped up. And I know that was the nightcap game. But, yeah, I was wrapped up in the baseball. I didn't even turn to it. Yeah, Vernon Wild fighting. Yep. I remember like it was yesterday. Tyson 60. I would think, right? Listen, it is Floyd Mayweather, but you know. Well, yeah, he's gonna fight Manny Pacquiao again. Yeah, he's fighting Tyson first, Fishing Angel. You're right, but he's gonna fight Manny Pacquiao later on. I think in September. Right? Oh yeah, I wouldn't bet that to save my life. Oof. I couldn't trust it. All right, guys, let me get to the tournament. Let me break this down. I'll try to be as not brief. I don't want to like zoom through it, but you know, to take more questions and also a couple other things I want to add. Not much else going on in sports. I want to talk about the WNBA thing real quick, of course, and I'm happy for them. Basketball right now is quiet, NHL, but let's get to the tournament. Do I have the graphic here just so we could make it legit? Yeah, people still watch boxing. I know. I please. It has to be a fight that's intriguing in order for me to watch. All right, so now to break down the brackets here, people. We talked about it Monday on the podcast. Here's what I'll do. I'll go by each. Now, I'm not going to like predict. I'm not going to go to each game. I'm not going to tell you, like, for instance, in the East, I've done some homework, but it's not like I'm going through Cal Baptist's roster and looking at their stats. And I know that sounds a little unfair, and no disrespect to the Cal Baptist team. And who knows? We've seen 13-4 upsets in the past. And if they do beat Kansas, well, listen, Kansas, they're up and down. You never know. And if they do happen to beat them, then I'll be put on notice and then I'll watch. But come on. I mean, I didn't watch either one of the games last night. I am curious about Miami of Ohio tonight because they were undefeated until they lost in the MAC in their first round game. But yeah, I'm not going to go crazy like trying to break down games, especially teams that I've never watched. And obviously Cal Baptist is one. But when I look at here's what I'm going to do. Break down the bracket. We know that the East is the hardest one of all. Duke could talk about, it's the hardest bracket, blah, blah, blah. Tough. I don't care. How many easy brackets that Duke have had over the years? We could go through a whole laundry list. And in fact, I saw a stat yesterday where Duke, in the last 11 years, or last 11 times they made a tournament, because there was a year that they didn't make it after Krzyzewski. The last 11 years that they made a tournament, do you know that they've been in the East 5 times and had not had to leave the Eastern time zone? So I don't want to hear it. And the games are going to be in Greensville, which they can walk to, and then in D.C. for the regional semi and final. So I don't want to hear it. It's not like St. John's has to go to San Diego for their opening 2 games before they come back east. And, oh, by the way, they may end up playing Duke in the regional semi. So no tears will be shed for them. But here's what I'm going to say. We know how stacked this bracket is. Duke, obviously St. John's. Kansas, I don't trust. I know Bill Self has won 2 titles, but they're too erratic for me, for my liking. Michigan State, we know Izzo. And to think they're the last Big Ten team to win a national title, which is crazy when you think about it. But, yeah, Michigan State can be up and down, as you know. I'm not 100% sold on them. And UConn, yeah, they can be dangerous. They are UConn, but they're not the vintage team of a couple of years ago that went to a title. I know Alex Caravan is there, the senior. Bio's UCLA team, I'm rooting for them, especially with the kid coming back, which is huge, the guard who got hurt there. And I think the sleeper out of this bracket, and when I say sleeper, it's from 6 down. St. John's not a sleeper. So I don't want to hear, they're 5 seed. Yeah, they are. But when you get to 6 down, but when I look at this here, I'm going to say this, and I'm not saying this out of a bias, whatever. I know Ohio State is good. I know J-Rod right now, cover your ears. And TCU could be dangerous too. But I think UCLA could be a team that I think, despite them losing in the semifinal in the Big Ten, I can see them get to a Sweet 16. And who knows? Now, I don't think they're going to get to a Final Four in my gut. But I think they could be a team that maybe they could get to a Sweet 16, and who knows? Could they get to an Elite 8? Mick Cronin, he knows his way around the tournament. And that, to me, because everybody's going to look at Izzo, everybody's going to look at Shire, everybody's going to look at Pitino, and everybody's going to look at Danny Hurley. Nobody's even going to think about Mick Cronin and UCLA. And I think they can be a sleeper. Now, who do I see coming out of this bracket? To me, I can never pick St. John's. I'm sorry. I'm not doing that. Something tells me that the college basketball gods, wherever that they may be, I think this could be a Big Ten year. And I don't like UConn. I know they have the grit and they have the coach, but this isn't a great UConn team. I think Michigan State, something tells me, and I understand that they're more a whole than the sum of their parts. And I know, again, J-Rod's probably thinking, no, I can't believe he said that. But yeah, and I'm not picking chalk here, people. I'm not going all 1 seeds. No, that to me, that's just lazy when it comes to this. I just think Izzo, he's come to the cusp. Wasn't last year, wasn't he in the, he made it to the regional final before they lost. And who they lose to? They lose to, wait, who did Houston play? Did Houston lose to, or maybe that was Auburn in Michigan State? I think it was Auburn. I got to go back and look. And they were in the game late. I want to say it was Auburn. I can see for whatever reason, this will be the year where Izzo gets to a Final Four. Now, listen, I don't know much about North Dakota State. Come on. But think about it. Then Louisville. I know Louisville, but I could see them easily getting to the Sweet 16. And then, of course, you take your chances there, whether that be against Duke or St. John's, if you would think. But I like Michigan State. I think they're going to come out of that as a 3 seed there in the East. In the South, now I know Florida got jerked because if Houston advances, which we would think, they're a 2 seed. They do have the regional semi and the final in the Toyota Center in Houston. So how does the 1 seed Florida have to play quite potentially a road game in a regional final? But this region overall, I think well, I'll get to the sleeper in a second. It's very top heavy because it's Florida, Houston. I want to say everybody else. I know Illinois is good. I know Nebraska's had a big year, but you're going to trust Nebraska. Vanderbilt, again, playing in a competitive SEC. Who knows with them? You got Carolina there. I know based on reputation. Yeah, listen, to me, this is not a strong bracket. I think it's the second toughest. No, wait, did I say it was the second? No, the West is the second, then the South is third. Yeah, I could see this being chalk for the most part. And remember, Florida, Houston last year, as we all know, Final Four and a championship game. But for Houston, I think this would be the ultimate revenge. I want to go back and check on something here. When it comes to, hold on a second. I got to enlarge this. Jeez. They're going to make me do this, of course. Stand by, guys. Let's see. Yeah, I was going back because I still had Michigan State stuck on the brain. Yeah, it was Auburn, just like I thought, in the Elite Eight. Yeah, because for some reason I had that stuck in my head, and I just needed to clarify that. And I knew it wasn't Houston, but it was Auburn. But, yeah, I can see this being chalk. I think Illinois is a team that could score, but, yeah. And listen, I understand they've had a big year too, but I don't trust them, especially knowing their history in the tournament. I know they made it to that 1 year with Darren Williams and D. Brown. What was that, 2005, I think it was? No. Yeah, I think it was 05 when Illinois went and they lost to 05. That was the North Carolina one, no? And I believe they played them in a championship game, if I'm not mistaken. But, yeah, I'm not a big believer in them. I lost my bracket here. Then you have, yeah, this is not a vintage Carolina team. And I know one of their players is out. Was it Caleb Wilson is out? Yeah, to me, I think the Cougars will get their revenge. I think I have them coming out. Yeah, because Florida, and listen, they have the medal. They're the defending champ. I get it, but that is just going to be such a pro home crowd. And it's funny because last year, Florida's backcourt was what won them their title, obviously led by Walter Clayton Jr. But to me, it's their front court that's actually going to be the catalyst to them to get back to a Final Four more so than their backcourt. Now, obviously, they're going to be up to any challenge, even if that means they're going to play Houston in a regional final. But, yeah, I'm picking Houston out of that bracket there in the South. As far as the Midwest goes, this is the easiest bracket, and I got news for you. I'll go through it. Oh, wait, my sleeper there in the South. If there is a sleeper, I know I thought St. Mary's, but nah. Yeah, not Texas A&M. I know VCU. The only reason why I say VCU is because they do have pedigree, even dating back to the days of Shaka Smart. But, yeah, and I don't think there's going to be a double-digit seed that's going to go far. I could say North Carolina could be another one of those, but they're blue blood. Could they be a sleeper? I guess, because they're not a vintage Carolina team. But I would say maybe VCU more so than anything, a team that could probably gain some traction but wants to get bounced by North Carolina in the first round. Now, as far as the Midwest, listen, if Texas Tech had JT Toppin, I would say so as a 5 seed. Alabama, you had the kid that got suspended or got kicked off the team, which I was shocked. Now, they found 2 pounds of pot or whatever it was. So, surprised only because a couple of years ago with Brandon Miller, him being involved in that weird scenario, being in the car where the guy killed his girlfriend, or that's alleged or whatever. They did something to kill somebody in brutally kill somebody. And he was on the team. He actually played in the tournament. So I thought maybe they would be a slap on the wrist. No, they said bye-bye, goodbye. And I don't know if Alabama's going to have any. Listen, that could be maybe a less of a distraction, but to have a guy that, that's not going to help. Virginia, nah. Kentucky, it's not a vintage Kentucky team as we know. Iowa State, I do like them, but I don't, they stumbled here down the stretch of the season. I mean, this is a cakewalk. My sleeper here, though, in this region, I would have said Texas Tech, and I know they were a 5. I want to go 6 and below, is St. Louis, the Millikins, because I'm sure you've heard a lot about them here over the last few weeks. They're a team that has certainly overachieved, and they are very tenacious. Now, their top 2 guys in scoring, can't think of their names right now. I'd have to pull that up. But based on just some of the things I read, St. Louis, they could be a pain in the neck, as well as, who's the other team I had on my radar? Hold on. As well as Tennessee, and they're 6-2, and they're waiting the winner tonight of Miami, Ohio, and SMU. But I think Michigan, listen, I almost feel like if they don't get to a Final Four, there needs to be an investigation. So that's what I have in the Midwest. And then out West, I know it's Arizona, and there's a lot of pressure on Arizona and their coach to get there and win. And obviously, this is far from the Lute Olson days, as we know. And Tommy Floyd is a guy that has knocked on the door, but has not been able to barge in. And for their school, and they've had a big year with a lot of big wins, to me, they have to get to a Final Four. Have to. Anything less than that would be highly disappointing, which also leads to who's under the most pressure going into this Final Four. And we could say Arizona. Michigan, not so much, I don't think. Now, I think there's going to be pressure only because of their bracket. It's easy. So if they lose, let's say, in a regional semi, people are going to be like, whoa, what happened? But when I look at pressure, I want to say there's a little pressure on Patino and St. John's, a little bit. Not a lot, because they are a 5 seed. It's not as if they're a 2 or 3 or even a 1 for that matter. And Houston, listen, they made it to the Final Four last year. I think there'll be pressure on them if they dominate in the first 3 games and then play Florida in the regional final in their building, for all intents and purposes, and then there'll be pressure on them to win then. But I don't think there's any pressure on them because they got to a final last year, like I mentioned, losing to Florida. But I think the team that has the most pressure is them. Not even Miami or Ohio. To me, people trying to fabricate, I've heard, well, Miami's under pressure. They were undefeated. They had that loss, and they got to stamp their approval. All right, if they win tonight, great, but they're probably going to lose to Tennessee there in the opening round of the tournament. So you got that to deal with. But then, as I'm trying to get to my bracket here, but I really think that the Wildcats, I do like Arkansas. The kid Darius Acuff, he's a stud, and he's going to take them as far as they go. I know BYU's dangerous, and I mean, this is a layup here in this regard. That's my sleeper in the West. I look at them as a team because of AJ DeBanza, obviously an All-American, a guy that's going to go in the top 3 in the NBA draft, so we think. And listen, they're going to play Texas, who won on a buzzer beater pretty much yesterday. But I think the Banta and BYU could be in for a long run, maybe get to a regional final. I don't know if they will, but that is my sleeper pick. And let me see. Did I even give him? Oh, yeah, I said St. Louis was my sleeper pick. And I understand it's a 6 seed because, again, this is a very top-heavy tournament. There aren't teams, in my eyes, that are, other than St. Louis, that are 8s, 9s, 10s, 12s. Now, you can't say 14 through 16 because you can never predict those teams going further. You're going to say from 12, you're going to say 6 to 12 is that range. But, yeah, I think BYU could be that team that could be a sleeper, maybe coming out. I don't think they're going to come out of that region. But what I'm looking at here is, I know Wisconsin, High Point is dangerous too. I don't know anything about them, just based on some of the things that I've heard about them. They are an up and down the court team. They're a track meet. And that may not bode well for Arkansas. Because High Point, if there's any comp of another team in this tournament, is St. John's. Because St. John's, they have like almost that Nolan Richardson, Arkansas, 40 minutes of hell mentality. They're just going to be relentless. They're going to press. They're going to try to turn you over. That's High Point. And they're a 12 seed. But the team that I like coming out of this bracket, yeah, it's not a vintage Villanova team. Even Utah State, I don't know much about. I'm not going to front. Kennesaw State, I mean, really. Gonzaga's intriguing. I think Gonzaga, because the last couple of years they've been under the radar, although they haven't gone back to a final since they lost to Baylor. Was that the year they lost to Baylor? Yeah, to Jalen Suggs. It was that right after the pandemic. So I think they're going to be tough. But I think the team that comes out of this bracket, and I've never liked him as a coach, but I love the player, and I think they got something cooking. And again, I'm not going to pick all 1 seeds. I'm taking Arkansas coming out of this region. Calipari, listen, he did it with UMass. They went to didn't they play in a national championship game? No, that was Syracuse. Yeah, because Syracuse beat Mississippi State, and then Kentucky beat UMass. That was at the Meadowlands. That was 96. I remember it vividly. And UMass had Marcus Camby on that team. And Iverson. Oh, anyway, I digress. Took them to a Final Four. Took Memphis and Derrick Rose. I get it. You could say cheating and test scores and all that. Took them to a championship game. Had an 8-point lead with about 2:50 to go before they gagged it. Mario Chalmers, the 3 from Kansas, as you know. Took Kentucky, obviously, to a national title 2012 with Anthony Davis. And I could see him taking his team to a Final Four. And I understand it's based on the one guy. I understand he's got a couple other guys on the team, but Acuff is a guy he's a special talent. And if he comes out this year, he belongs in that area with the Bansa, Boozer, and I understand he hurt himself, JT Toppin, and guys like that. So your Final Four, to recap. You ready, people? Michigan State, 3 seed out of the East. In the South, I'm taking Houston, a 2 seed. All right, 3-2, that's not going on a limb. I get that. And then Michigan's a 1. I get that too. But I have a 4 in Arkansas coming out of the Midwest. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, for a second there, I did think about even choosing Tennessee because I like Tennessee in that side of the bracket, considering that it is Virginia and I'm not sold. And I get it, Iowa State, Kentucky. But you know what? I played it a little bit safe, but not safe to where I got 2 1s and 2 2s or 3 1s and a 4. I wanted to mix it up. So therefore, I did it 4-3-2-1. Or in this case, I did it 3-2-1-4. Going counterclockwise. All right, let's get your thoughts. Let's see. Scroll. All right, people watch boxing. That was J-Rod's last thing. Give the WNBA more money to continue to have horrible attendance and views. Sounds about right. No, J-Rod, the attendance has been good. I mean, listen, I'm not watching WNBA on the regular. But the popularity has soared. I definitely got to give him that. And they've actually expanded. I know Val's gone to a couple of Valkyries games, Golden State, and they've been the worst team, and I guess their attendance has been good. And they're going into their 30th year. I'll spend a second on that before I sign off. I could see that. Absolutely. I could. Listen, Miami, Ohio, they played nobody throughout the regular season. They played nobody. Now, I understand they're in the MAC. They're going to play the Akrons. They're going to play the Toledos. They're going to play the Eastern Michigans. They're going to play teams like that. I get it. But, yeah. No. It's – if they win this game, they're probably going to get bounced in the next game. But you know what? If they make the bulk of the tournament, that's almost a win. Moral victory, but still. But on the real, Duke got a juggernaut of a bracket. No, they did. And they also, I didn't mention they had their guard, Caleb Foster's out. I mean, I don't know if he's probably will play. I don't know. I haven't checked recently to see what his status is. But Duke's, their backcourt is banged up a little bit. So you got to keep that in mind as well. Mark, last question. I'll disappear for a big minute. It's all right, Mark. You've been good today. So thoughts on Sean Green and Tom Glavine? Hung out with both at casino. Wait, you hung out with both of them? Or they hung out with, or they were hanging out together? Now, remember, they were teammates on the 06 Met team. Sean Green, the former Dodger outfielder, I'm sure Bio knows, and Tom Glavine is, Tom Glavine. But I don't know. If you hung out with them, I'm curious. How did that go? Keep asking my husband to check our brackets. Oh, you haven't finished yet? Oh, they haven't started. No, they start. Yeah, because you're not going to film the brackets for these games tonight. Hey, as long as you have it by noon tomorrow, that's it. And I'm sure you're probably wondering, wait a minute, Jerry, was we supposed to talk about this tomorrow? Trust me, I've not forgotten. I'll talk about that at the back end in the last few minutes as to why I'm doing this today and not tomorrow. She keeps asking. He was telling me they start tomorrow. Yes, they do. Uh-oh. Anxious. Sorry, I want to know if I got any right. Oh, so who's your final? So you haven't finished it yet, right, Fishing Angel? I'm curious. UCLA could be dangerous. Ohio State may be a first-round win, but they're not getting past the second round. Yeah, and let's see. Ohio State, if I look at their bracket. Yeah, I had Ohio State going. Yeah, I had them beating TCU, but yeah, I didn't have them beating Duke, though. And then moving along, Duke, Michigan State. Regional final, that's why I picked Michigan State. Let's see. Wait, let me go. What's going on here? Why is this acting all weird? All right, let me go back. Let's see. Elliott and Lendenborg have a tournament ages. Michigan was there. Yeah, I hope so. Oh, wait, I didn't even talk about that's my final four. I got to go back. All right, I'll say this quick. I gave you my final four, but I didn't give you my champion. All right, so let me go back. Hold on. I can do this off the top of my head, if anything. So you got Michigan State, Houston. I think Houston's going to advance. They're going to beat Michigan State. Michigan will beat Arkansas. Michigan, Houston. And I'm not doing this just for you, J-Rod. Michigan will be a national champion. That's in my eyes. I thought about Houston for a quick minute because now you're bringing me back to Butler. And I'm not trying to compare Houston to Butler by any means, because remember, Butler went to back-to-back finals and lost. And this would be the same deal. For a second, I thought maybe Kelvin Sampson finally gets over the hump, because everybody's darling, especially when it comes to a coach who hasn't won a national championship. But Michigan's had such a big year. And I know Houston has two, though. I can't discount them. But I think Michigan's going to win. I like what I've seen from them. Now, listen, I haven't watched every minute like you have, of course, and to me, I think losing in the Big Ten championship was big, because I understand you want to go into the tournament on a roll. I understand you want to have momentum, whatever. But to me, sometimes that can be nonsense. And sometimes when you go in that hot, there's always going to be a game that you're going to be tooth and nail. You're going to be biting your nails. And I think Michigan's played a lot of those games this year. Obviously they lost to Duke. That was a close game. And the other game that you went to, I believe on your birthday, that was another one. That was their first loss of the year. They're not going to get blown out. And I believe they have enough toughness and enough to win a national championship from that regard. Houston has that too. They have that moxie also, but I like Michigan. So, and trust me, no money, no checks, no Venmos were made in my decision making when it comes to a Final Four. I'm sure Bio was like, come on. And Bio, just so you know, I got UCLA because I picked them as a sleeper. As I look here, hold on. Yeah, I didn't have them going past UConn. Although I could see that. I really could see them beating UConn. I can because, and I've watched UConn. Big East, follow. I know that. And then Hurley, he could go off the deep end. If the calls aren't going his way or if the officials, he could unravel. And I think that also spreads down to their team, even though their team knows him. But, and again, there's no Stephon Castle on his team. They don't have any of those type of guys that are just dogs. I know Caravan is. I understand. And the other 7-footer who got drafted last year, we go to Utah, I believe. Damn it, his name's eluding me right now. Jeez, I can't remember off the top of my head. But Donovan Clingan, that's the other guy I was thinking of. But yeah. So that's what I got there as my final. I gave you my Final Four, but I didn't give you my national champion until now. Want to watch more hockey games? I'm surprised you haven't gone to a Red Wing game. J-Rod's got to take you. But yeah, I'm looking forward to the playoffs, and we still got another few weeks. Not even what? This season ends less than a month. The 16th. Yeah, I know. Sears. He likes the donkey kick. Yeah, if he does that, forget it. I mean, yeah, he's a disaster in that regard. He's got to definitely control his temper. Red Wings 2 games against the Bruins. Yeah, isn't that game on I think that game's on ABC, right? That's an ABC game. No, we don't want that. What happened here? Oh, here we go. Nebraska. Yeah, I can see that. Yeah, I didn't have Nebraska going far either. Yeah, they're not going to pull an Indiana of college football, that's for sure. Yeah, they have the player, and you're right. And they also have size, and they're tenacious too. And scoring in big spots, you kind of wonder, but yeah, I don't trust them. I think they're going to go far, though. And I'm sure they're going to look at that, knowing that they have the regional semi and the final in their building. I watch them losing a regional semi, but I think that's also going to help too. All-time record of season of schools that turned down NIT. Oh, yeah, NIT is just. I was assigned to Braun in Cincinnati after. You were assigned to Braun in Cincinnati? Wait a minute. You're talking about Ryan Braun? Mark Salmons, are you talking about Ryan Braun with the whole thing, the FedEx package with the urine sample? Please confirm that. I think that's what you're talking about. And if you think I don't know, then you must have fallen out of your chair if you're still with us. Because when I see this, I was assigned to Braun in Cincinnati after incident. And I understand he didn't play for Cincinnati, but he played for Milwaukee. And I'm sure if that's what you're referring to, maybe you showed up in Cincinnati to collect a sample, or maybe you pull in my leg. But if you don't think I know, stop taking my number one spot. Yes. Yeah, the Millikins, yeah, they do. I know his name eludes me right now. I don't want to look it up because I don't want to be caught out there. But again, it just goes to show you. Did I watch St. Louis basketball earlier? No. But again, some of the things, and I know there's a lot of other names and players that I missed out on, but this is what happens. When college basketball was it 80s, 90s, early 2000s, in November, Midnight Madness, I was all over it. And obviously my teams were competitive, which helped, Georgetown. But even still, even when they weren't competitive, I still was on top of it. College basketball now, I'm into more college football. I never thought I'd even say this, but I'm light years into more college football than I am college basketball. But I'll be all over it now. I'll be following. Trust me. When we get to the podcast on Monday and recap it, damn straight. Wait, comments. Ooh, my stomach's rattling. I don't know if you heard that. Jeez. If you did, my apologies. It's almost April. Yeah, I know. Yeah, I know. Well, it was funny. I was talking to a friend of mine this morning, and I said to him I was 80 degrees last Tuesday, and since then it's just been nosedive. But, Okay, so if they lose that early now, yes. I hope not. I'm rooting for you guys, big time. You know your stuff. I'll give you that more. All right. Now I know it's not in reference to the Braun comment, but thank you. Yeah, that was 14 minutes ago. People probably like you because you're honest. Listen, that's why transparent and honesty. If you heard my exchange before with Fishing Angel regarding music, hey, I'm not going to sugarcoat. I'm not going to, not doing that. That would be Memphis, not UMass. Calipari. No, Calipari in 96, he was the coach of UMass. Marcus Camby, Carmelo Travieso, Edgar Padilla. I remember it well because they beat Georgetown in the regional final that year. And the coach of that team was John Calipari. And he did coach Memphis, Derrick Rose, absolutely. But he was the coach of UMass too. Fishing Angel, I appreciate you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Oh, geez. Do you have to say this here, Witch Pass? Yeah. And you don't think the NBA or college does? All right, Mark. Oh, you've actually went, you said. All right. One game? Did you go to several games? If you went to one game and had that experience, my apologies. I'm sorry to hear that. WS was Clark. They haven't said a letter and get destroyed all the time. It's stupid. I don't understand it. Well, she has to stay healthy, too. That would actually help, but, The novice. Am I the only person who thinks USA lost because of poor management and roster planning? I'm not going to say that only because they got to a final and it just didn't hit last night. And they had their best players. Well, you could argue, Kyle Raleigh, but DeRozan put Will Smith in there because he knows how to win. I mean, as I detailed before. But, yeah, I don't think that's it. Yeah, I don't think it's poor management or roster planning. Not at all. Mark Salmons, yes. Is this WNBA or is that Ryan Braun? Please confirm. Thank you. No, I agree with the novice. Great Cats. Louisville, Florida, Miami, Michigan. So that's your, okay. So Louisville, Florida, Miami, Michigan. And then, that was the other loss I missed. Right, because, listen, obviously but that was in the whatchamacallit, in the Big Ten tournament. I was thinking about the loss earlier this year, their first loss of the year that J-Rod was at. And I'm trying to think. Mudbutters, what's up, man? Yeah, no, I missed out on that. So I'm not going to lost to Little Small White Purdue. Yes, they did. But no, but that was in. Wait, I got to look that up here. Did they lose to them? Where was that game? I know I should know this, but hold on a second. I'm going to look up there. Michigan. By the time I type this in, J-Rod's going to have this answered, which is fine. Because, listen, I would go to him for Michigan Wolverine basketball. So, because we're talking his wheelhouse. All right. Oh, that was the Wisconsin game that you went to and lost, right, J-Rod? That was the game. Yeah. Well, no, I know about Purdue. That was in the Big Ten Championship. That I knew, but I was stuck on the other games that they lost. And I knew about the Duke game. I brought that up. It was the Wisconsin game. Yeah, Purdue was just the other day. But to me, I thought that was good not that it was good that they lost, but yeah, I mean, to think they would have gone into the tournament 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7, would have won 7 in a row. Should, not should, yes. Florida, Arizona. Hold on a second. Florida, Arizona. Are you asking me Florida, Arizona, or are you asking? Well, Fishing Angel didn't pick Arizona. Oh, Cats. No, wait. I'm lost. Mud Butters. I'm trying to put these together. See my Mets theme? What do you mean by that? See my Mets theme. What, because you got the orange there? Speaking of Mets, hold on a second. What is this? Oh, no, all right. Yeah, I thought I saw something here with the Mets. It just got me off guard. All right, let me see. Let me go back. No, not to the bracket. Wait, let me go back to the comments. Let's see. Yeah, so your Mets team, I just see the M, the goal, the orange. Bio, Duke, Nebraska. Ooh, you got Nebraska going. All right. Iowa State. No, that's good. 2 1s, a 4, and a 2. I like that. I like that you got Nebraska going. That's good. Fears not. Did I say Sears? Yeah, Fears. I mean Jeremy Fears. Michigan State donkey kick. Yes, I said. If I said Sears, my apologies. I had Sears on the brain. Jeremy Fears. Sam Palazzo, yeah, Sam Palazzo, third base coach once upon a time. Oh, wait a minute. So now you are confirming. So were you the one that had to go back? So let me ask you this, Mark Sammons. You said what a shit show that was. So this was after he had detained, because that whole thing with Ryan Braun, for those who aren't familiar with this, and he won the MVP, I think 2011, but I think a year, I forgot, was it maybe before? It was probably after. I think it was the year after, where Ryan Braun got caught PEDs, had a urine sample that, for whatever the reason, the guy went to go pick it up, but left it somewhere, to where obviously you have a sensitive timetable in order to make sure that it's not going to be tainted or it's going to be a legit sample. And then somebody had to go back and get a sample. Now, my thing is that, were you the one that went back to get a sample in Cincinnati, or did you get the original sample and then got lost in the shuffle somewhere? So let me scroll down. 1. Cheers, my guy. Thanks for hopping on board. Appreciate you. Oh, yeah, I'm ready. That's right. Good pitching. And then, yeah, the pitching won. I mean, listen, cannot dispute it. Oh, we got Duke Michigan final. So who do you got winning? Right. And that was the game you went to. Exactly. That's for whatever reason, that was the loss that I couldn't refer to. Because I mentioned Duke. I didn't think I brought up Purdue, but we know that was just the other day. It was the first loss I was trying to figure out, and I couldn't. Oh, here we go, J-Rod. I was referring to the Rose. You said UMass, I believe. Heard wrong. Oh, okay. Yeah, no. Obviously, Derrick Rose was on that team, Memphis team, in 2008 when they went to a Final Four. Purdue only one because they have shady players. You love the channel. What you referring to, Mark Sammons? You probably do too. I need sleep. Do I need sleep? I probably do. I could use more. Fuqua, I see your question. I'm going to get to that in a second. Michigan, Duke, Purdue. Oh, yes. Those are their losses. 100%. Sorry, Mark. You got to clarify that. I know I'm catching up with these comments. I may have to land this sucker just like this, because after this, I'm not going to talk NBA. I'm not much to talk about in the NBA, to be honest. Same for the NHL. WNBA. Do I need to get into that? Probably not. I'll just go through your comments, guys. Maybe if I have a second, I'll do that. Fishing Angel. Players that are kicking me in the nuts. Yeah, no, that's atrocious. Yeah, terrible job. And yeah, Mark, maybe I do need sleep. I don't know. I could use it. That's for sure. Michigan not getting pushed around by Purdue. No, I can't see that happening again. Yes. Wait, hang on. I just clicked on Matt Kemp. Braun robbed him. Yeah. Juicing. So, Juan, you like Duke overall, huh? Duke over Michigan? All right. I just can't stand Duke. Even I know Krzyzewski's long gone, but I can't stand him. Yes, I had 3 players detained with him, all 0 charges. 3-on-1. Ryan was silent as he should have been. Wow. Really? in a nutshell, was all BS on paper. Wow. That must have been interesting. That whole thing. Juan, number one draft pick, maybe Boozer. Yeah, maybe. All depends. You know, the combine, if it's Darren Peterson, if it's, excuse me, well, it's not going to be JC Toppin. AJ DeBanza, he's definitely going top 3. He could go number 1, absolutely. I agree with you. All right, here we go. Fuqua. Should the Mets trade Francisco Lindor before he completely breaks down? The crazy thing is he had this hamate bone injury, and he's actually playing in games. So that's a credit to his work ethic and I guess his recovery. Here's the thing with Lindor. He's got 6 more years left. Wait, hold on. Let me make sure I got this right. Traded in 21, gave me an extension 22, 3, 4, 5, 6. He's got 5 more years after this year, and I think he's 32. Lindor? Let's look that up real quick. 32. Hopefully he turned 32, and he's not. Oh, he'll be 33 in November. November 14, 1993. Well, I'll say this. He's not getting better. Back end of his prime. Should they trade? I mean, who are you going to get back? You're not going to get anything of equal value. You're not going to get. Just trying to think. Yeah, I mean, what are you going to get? Players are not going to trade off their farm system for a guy that's 32, that's had some injuries here. And yeah, who knows if his best days are behind him? I don't think they are, but you can certainly question that. I'm a Tar Heel fan, St. John. So, Juan, if you like the Tar Heels too, and you got Duke winning the whole thing? Oh, you picked Duke for your bets. Oh, I got you. Yeah, because St. John's, I've always hated St. John's. And listen, I'll give them credit where credit is due, but not room for those guys. Now, if they go far, they go far. If not, Val, welcome back. Darren Connolly, I appreciate you stopping by. Duke will win it all. The Devil Squad reminds me of the 90s teams with Hurley, Leitner, and Hill. Wow. That's interesting because remember, Hurley, Leitner, Hill, those guys stood together for years. Leitner played all 4 years. And I believe Hurley played all 4 years. And listen, they're going to be tough. I know the injury to Foster, we got to wait and see how effective he's going to be. But I know you listen, they're going to go as far as the Cameron Boozer as far as they're going to take him. But listen, I wouldn't be shocked if they win. I mean, they're 1 seed for a reason. My fingers crossed. I just hope they get bounced. I've seen enough Duke national championships for 40 lifetimes, even if Mike Krzyzewski isn't there. Val. Yes, I know. That's a very underrated signing right there. I'm not trying to make Christian Kirk out to be John Taylor, but with Mike Evans, that's not bad. He certainly had a big playoff game against the Steelers. Maybe that's not saying much considering the Steelers defense is terrible. And speaking of Steelers or former Steelers, Corliss Waitman is a good punter. So, Niners making some moves. Sounds crazy. Yeah, man. Yeah, my team, I don't even know if they're in the NIT. I couldn't even bother checking out. Hoya Paranoia, Georgetown. And to think their last Final Four was in 2007. Now, I'll never forget, that year, the Final Four, they played Ohio State. And they beat North Carolina in the regional final, which was great. And that team was really good, man. That team had Roy Hibbert, Jeff Green, a good young guard named Jonathan Wallace, and a good player off the bench, DeJuan Summers, who was really good. Listen, that team, John Thompson III was the coach. They were a really good team, and they beat North Carolina. And who did Carolina have in 07? Remember, Carolina won the championship 2 years prior to that. Damn it, who was on that team? It wasn't Sean May, was it? Wow, I'm drawing blanks right now. Sean May, I'm thinking Rashad McCants. No, I think they're on the 05 team. 2007. Here we go. Who the hell was on that team? Yeah, Ty Lawson, Danny Green, who just retired. Yeah, no, that's got to be. Hold on a second. Yeah, Wayne Ellington. You know, now look at that. That team wasn't as good as I thought. Oh, Tyler Hansbrough. Yeah, I got to forget about him. Yeah, Hansbrough was an All-America that year. All-American. You know what? That team wasn't as great as I think about it now. I mean, Ellington was good. Danny Green. Nah, I mean, they were decent, but they made it to a regional final. Georgetown beat them, and they actually beat them. That regional final was at the Meadowlands. And I wanted to go so bad, I didn't get to go. And then they played Ohio State the Saturday after, Greg Oden, Michael Conley Jr., and I was actually on my birthday. And that was tough because I was celebrating in a restaurant where I got like this section, and I knew one of the owners there, and he gave me like the most sweetheart deal of all time. And that was the first game of the two. And that was at 5. I thought it was like 5:40 was the game. So, yeah, here I'm in a restaurant. That's a lie. I got to the restaurant at 7. I'm watching the first half at home. I'm listening to the second half at on the radio. And then I get to the restaurant. I'm watching the end of the game. And it was, I'll never forget, about, I think it was 8 minutes. No, not 8 minutes. I think it was like maybe 10, 11 minutes to go in the game, and it was tied at 44. It was low scoring. And then Ohio State just blew the doors off over Georgetown. And that was really Georgetown's last significant note in the tournament. Well, Antoine Jameson was before that. Jameson, he was in the draft with Vince Carter. So he was 99. And then the 05 team. Who was on that 05 team? I think that was Rashard McCants. Oh, good. I could just do this drop-down menu thing right here. Perfect. Yeah, the 05 team, Raymond Felton. That's the guy I was thinking. I think Ty Lawson. I was thinking it was Raymond Felton. Marvin Williams, who was a bust in the NBA. He was a number 2 pick overall with the Hawks. Oh, he was awful. Rashad McCants. Sean May was on that team too, I believe. Yep. Yeah, and they won a championship that year. And who did they beat that year in 05? Oh, did I talk about Illinois? Did they beat Illinois, that team? Hold on a second. I'm on their website. Didn't it beat Kansas one year? NCAA champs. Oh, yeah, my stomach's growling again. I don't know. You guys hear that? Jeez. My stomach's like, it's almost 2 o'clock. Where's the food? All right, hang on, guys. I got to go back. 05. Hello. Oh, here we go. It was North Carolina, Illinois, Duke, Washington. Yeah, it was Illinois. Yeah, because North Carolina played Washington, and then Duke, Illinois, and then it was North Carolina and Illinois, which I believe that was the first title for Roy Williams, because 2 years prior they lost to Carmelo. Wait, is this right? Hold on a second. Yeah. So there you have it. All right. Thank you, Fishing Angel. Appreciate you. You know that always. Yeah, I'm going to land this sucker because, starting to get hungry. Yes, they all went to NBA Tar Heels. Yeah, all those teams. Yeah, because they won in 05. They didn't win in 09. And I believe the other team they won was in 16. No, I think Kansas won that year. Oh, nice, man. Iverson, Ewing years. Yeah, Ewing. Well, Ewing was way before Iverson, but yes. That's how far back I go with Georgetown. Yep, Grego in Ohio State. And Mike Conley Jr. was the point guard on that team. But, yeah, that's it, people. That's what I got. Oh, let me wrap up with this. So tomorrow, I'm not going to have a podcast pregame nor a podcast. That's why I put out the info regarding the tournament here. I actually may just put this on my website so I can get it out. I'll probably just take the tournament stuff. Maybe the WBC. I'll chop it up and I'll put that as a podcast. But, yeah, this is not I'm not going to have a podcast tomorrow. I will have a live stream. Don't know what time just yet. And I'll tell you my whereabouts tomorrow because something that come up. Not it didn't come up, but something that was in the works that is interfering with the podcast. So no podcast pregame tomorrow, but I will have a live stream, as you know. And obviously live streams into the weekend. I'll be back with the podcast on Monday. Podcast pregame. Don't worry, Fishing Angel, I got you. And then, yeah, we'll recap the opening weekend, whatever's happening in baseball, NBA, NHL. You know I got you covered as we continue to chop it up about what's happening in the world of sports. So with that being said, that will do it. Another live stream in the books. Thank you so much for stopping by. Even to the newbies that jumped on board, my regulars. Oh, got to go to work, Fishing Angel. I hear you. Thank you so much. I appreciate you. And then Panthers are signing. Oh, A.J. Dillon, yeah, the former running back. Yeah, good signing for them. But I will do that too, Fishing Angel. Absolutely. I'll tell you said hi as always. I appreciate you for that. But as you all know, in the blood, in the DNA, talking sports since birth. Thank you so much again for passing by, carving out precious time out of your day to listen to what it is I have to say about what goes on in the wonderful world of sports. Because if you do or do not know, there's what I love to do. Talking sports since birth. As long as I'm in front of this microphone and camera, I will continue to deliver nothing but passion, fire, energy, fury, my thoughts, opinions, critiques, praise, analysis, feelings on anything and everything that happens in the world of the diamond, ice, gridiron, hardwood, golf course, racetrack, tennis court, boxing ring, octagon, you name it. From my lips to your ears, from my heart to your soul, from where I am to wherever you are. The J Reels live stream always comes live, correct, directed, in full effect. From the South Bronx, the South Beach, the South Central, the South Pacific, and all points beyond. Peace, love, and God bless everybody. Enjoy the rest of your hump day. Catch me tomorrow. I don't know what time just yet. You got to stay tuned to the channel. If you haven't subscribed, please do so. I'd appreciate it. And until next time, on the flip, baby.